As they never stop telling you, the Industrial Revolution started in Manchester. What does that mean? Since about 1780, the species has been dumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere in, well, industrial quantities. No one really gave a damn until some scientists pointed out in the 1980s that it was maybe not such a smart thing to be doing. So, in 1992, everyone schlepped off to Rio for an Earth Summit. Afterwards, giddy, Manchester invited everyone to a global forum as a 2-year follow-up. But a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. The Tories cut the money, and the forum was a very damp and embarrassing squib, which nobody speaks of in polite company. And the other outcome of Rio, Local Agenda 21, led to an infamous, and also not spoken of, clash between protesters and politicians on the thorny subject of the airport. Manchester Airport's second runway was built over objections and protests in the late 90s. All through the early noughties, and actually up until this day, green concerns are viewed as those of the lentil-eating sandal wearers, not Labour issues. But by 2007, some in the council were trying to get things going. There were failed efforts at writing a strategy collectively. Beginning of 2008, the Climate Change Principles document was published. It was quite radical and promised a strategy by the end of the year. 2008, however, was also the year of the Transport Innovation Fund bid. In order to secure a big wodge of central government money, the question of a congestion charge was put to the public. They said no. On the downside, this has destroyed the concept that you can get collective solutions to problems past the electorate. On the upside, Friends of the Earth gained credibility with those in the council who matter because of the work they did campaigning for a yes vote in the referendum. In the beginning of 2009, a new document appeared, written by a London-based consultancy, called The Call to Action. It was 50 pages of gibberish with lots of comical and since unkept promises. Its main impact was to provoke a bunch of activists into writing a call to real action, outlining lots of activities the council, and Joe and Jane public, could actually take. Remember, 2009 was also the year of the annual UN farce, this time in Copenhagen. There was also in Copenhagen at the same time a World Conference of Mayors. Manchester's glorious leader Richard Leese decided to go to this latter event. That meant he had to have a completed and ratified strategy in his hand. Oops! Though, because all previous efforts at doing anything on climate change had basically run into the sand, and the 2007 process had led nowhere. Somewhat desperate, the council adopted the methodology of small working groups then stitching together a larger report from Call to Real Action, and produced, with stakeholders, the Manchester Climate Change Action Plan. Manchester Certain Future it's also known as. The Tyndall Centre in Manchester, scientific body, was asked to provide a number for carbon reduction that could be used to galvanise and look plausible as a 2 degrees reduction target. Thus the number 41% reduction came into existence. The Climate Change Action Plan was ratified in the heady days of November 2009. Leese and his Director of Environmental Strategy flew to Copenhagen. Much play was made of the fact that this was a stakeholder document. These days, not so much. So, after the party, the hangover. A change of government and austerity led to massive culling of public sector organisations, and the realisation that they have maybe bitten off more than they can chew has led, basically, to many, many broken promises. Total carbon footprint approach? Nope. Everyone getting carbon literacy training by 2013? Nope. Getting 1,000 organisations signed up to the action plan? Nope. And of the 220-ish who did sign up, back in 2010, how many have come up with their own implementation plans? 2. As this success rate is therefore 0.2%. The stakeholder conferences have been getting shorter and shorter and more weak. All around, basically, is chaos and despair. Oh, and by the way, the editors of McFly have been excluded from the latest stakeholder conference. We're simply asking too many awkward questions too often. So, History is repeating itself. So, why did the council take on this agenda anyway? Well, they had to, everyone was talking about climate change, but also it fits with the spatial fix, attracting footloose capital to invest. This is now known as the sustainability fix if you're slapping a green coat of paint on it. Despite Labour's huge electoral ownership, they have 86 of the 96 seats on council, and after next year's elections it will be 96 out of 96. They're doing very, very little. Various reasons. One is they've turned American, in the sense that they're dreadfully scared to talk of limits. Why? Because they have neither the capacity to regulate nor the stomach for it. Electorally super safe, they can't afford to scare the real voters, the people who make decisions about where to invest. Local governments like Manchester will not talk of regulation, for they fear of being beaten up by the Daily Mail as anti-business, loony left, return to the 1970s. They can't afford to be seen as likely to regulate, take any action whatsoever that would make Manchester less attractive than, say, Barcelona, Berlin, Prague, as a destination for this or that corporation. Where are the social movements in all this, you ask? Well, as the local state uses a spatial fix or a sustainability fix, the social movements are getting a different kind of fix. A smugness fix, a self-righteous fix, in the sense of an addict. Want to know why? Read Ingleful Bluedorn's stuff on post-ecological thinking. What is to be done? We need to rethink prosperity, investment and economics. Steady State Manchester is beginning that process. And we need, of course, a broad social movement of activists, trade unionists, grannies and gardeners, academics and artists. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Should we be trying? Most definitely yes.